This interesting interview with Mrs. Jennifer Bradford, the Crime Prevention and the Criminal Justice Officer, Corruption and Economic Crime Branch in UNODC. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. How do you see the importance of this gathering? What is your role today in this ninth edition of the Conference of the States Parties to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption?
Thank you. Well, the ninth conference comes, of course, at the end of the International Year Against Corruption. One of the most important parts was that in June this year, the United Nations General Assembly held a special session against corruption. This special session culminated and resulted in a political declaration through which all member states, so even beyond the states parties to the convention, recommitted to the fight against corruption and the prevention of it.
Yeah, you are the special one in this field. So let me know more about the importance of the role of women in this fighting.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. The political declaration was a milestone in many ways, and one of the things that it does include is actually in paragraph 69 an important component and contribution for the gender dimension of corruption. What is the link between women and corruption? How can we better understand the differentiated impact of corruption on women?
Yes. Let me ask you also about this initiative in order to get back the stolen assets, especially in Africa.
I beg your pardon?
Yes. There is an initiative in order to get back, to recover back the stolen assets on the African level.
There is indeed a stolen asset recovery initiative that is a joint initiative between the World Bank and UNODC, the UN's Office on Drugs and Crime. This is an initiative and far beyond the world, and our there goes in many different directions, from advice to legislative drafting support to other sorts of advisory services, and just simply providing a forum where states can come together and design.
I have another gender equality. This fighting against corruption. What about it?
Well, actually, we've seen in the reality is that gender equality policies are mutually reinforcing. Why is this? Because gender equality in a more diverse and inclusive environment, which in itself breaks up corrupt and collusive networks that can otherwise establish themselves.
In this context of COVID-19 and in this context of the evolution of new technologies, and as you know, the corruption became more and more sophisticated crime, which using always new technologies. So about the new solutions in order to fight against corruption.
Absolutely. I think that we need to be innovative because the criminal mind will always seek ways to find its way to commit crimes and corruption, right? So we need to also stay on top of this dimension. And of course, this day and age, technology is key. Money disappears from a country at the touch of a button. It goes via international banking systems and so on. So we really need to work on this, and we are, in fact, providing services on financial investigations to support member states and states parties to the convention to fight and investigate corruption.
After all these discussions, after all these experiences exposed by different countries about their fighting against corruption, what this gathering will lead to, the aims?
Well, one of the pinnacles will, of course, be the Sharm el-Sheikh Declaration, which will be adopted here at the conference, which will be a roadmap of sorts of the way forward in fighting corruption and bringing countries together to see a common goal and find new and innovative ways to fight this scourge.
So it will be about implementation of laws, about new mechanisms adopted in different countries in order to fight against corruption?
Not only, this is something that we do on a daily basis. The convention comes with an implementation review mechanism by which 2 other countries review each state that is party to the convention about what they are doing. And this does in fact cover implementation of laws. What laws exist? What institutions are built? And how can we improve it?
Thanks a lot for this interview.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. So back to you again in the studio.